Hi there, everyone. What's going on? It's Madison James, and we've been celebrating it all month, but you've heard me talk about it. And I say, it's our day every day, all year long. This is my personal opinion as a woman, but we are celebrating Women's National History Month. And with that, we've been highlighting some local females that are doing their thing right here in the Charlotte area. And one of them happens to be a really great friend of mine who has over 20 years of experience in the media business. And I know you've seen her on camera, you've seen her out and about. I call her Molly. What's going on?
That's what you're supposed to call me, Molly. Hi, Madison. I'm glad to see you. What else would you call me?
Molly. Yeah. That's what I
Yes.
call my girlfriends. I'm like, oh yeah, you do that, right?
Yes.
No,
I know. We have titles. We lead with other things, but like we're just all people, right? All just who we are. Madison, Molly. Hi.
100%. And you do some amazing things in the community. And actually, it's been 2 years, 3 years. I don't know. I can't keep track. We connected at Go Gen Go for both of us having our passion for breast cancer awareness, the families, the women that are going through the journey. But can you kind of touch on that? Because some people may not even know, because that's where Molly and I connected, honestly.
It is. And within minutes we're like, okay, we're gonna be great friends. Yep. Go Gen Go is a local grassroots, as you know, but for everyone who doesn't, local grassroots organization. I think they're in their 13th year, so it's established, it's grown, it started small, it's getting bigger. It is still local. I mean, it is money raised to help, I always say, with the unsexy stuff of women who are, battling. So survivors, thrivers, and fighters battling breast cancer. The grant money goes to help mortgages, transportation, gas money to get to treatments, childcare if you need it. Over the holidays, they do a huge Christmas drive so moms who are sick don't have to go worry about Christmas lists for kids. Like, it's just the stuff that's needed, but not always like the big wish or the big dream. It's the raw, real reality of battling, and you don't want to have to decide between medicine and keeping your electric bill on. And Coach Go steps in and help individuals. You see it happen. People, you can document all the dollars, and people come up with their stories and say, this is what they did for me. And it's one of the best organizations around.
And from meeting, like I said, Molly and I connected from there. We built this friendship, and we're going to fast forward it to where she is in her life now. You may have seen her as she gets you through the news. For a very long time, she did anchoring, being a female anchor, being a solo female anchor, which is pretty big. And now she's betting on herself. Molly, talk about that, because that's big. That's a big deal. That's why you're here for Women's History Month, because you bet on yourself and you inspire a lot of other women to bet on themselves as well.
Thank you for asking about that. Yes, March of last year in 2024, I stepped away from WBTV. It was the 5, 5:36, and 11 o'clock anchors. So 20 live shows a week, 50 hours a week in a newsroom, 2 to midnight job, 3 young kids at home. I did not step away necessarily for my family or to be home at night, even though maybe now I think I should have said that's why. I stepped away because I had this thought in my head about bet on yourself. It wasn't going to be a mission or a mantra in the moment. It was just my dad, honestly, used to say that to me and my 3 younger brothers. He would always say, bet on yourself, bet on yourself. I had a double Southern name, Molly Mead, and he would say, bet on yourself, Miss Mead. And I could hear him say it. He was my hero. He passed away 18 years ago of colon cancer. And when a contract was coming up to renew, which people in this industry are in contracts, so you're doing stuff 2, 3, 4 years at a time. You're not just, you have windows. You're thinking about your next steps. And I heard my dad say, bet on yourself. I mean, I really did, in my core. And so I hadn't seen him for a long time or heard his voice in real life for a long time. So to hear him inside of me, sort of as a gut check, I had to pay attention to. And left the job. I had loved the job for a long time, still have friends in the building, of course, and left the job. And I didn't know exactly what the next step was, but I have realized over the last year, doing the journey transparently to bet on myself, that part of the mission I feel like I'm put here to do, and hearing my dad and hearing so many stories of men and women. I mean, lots of women, but also men. You can bet on yourself, how they bet on themselves, when they bet on themselves, professional careers and personal relationships, tools on how to help coach others in betting on themselves. I'm not a life coach. I don't want to be a coach. It's more just empowerment and steps, how-tos to do that as I transparently live it out myself. We did a Bet on Yourself Summit for women last September. Madison, you were a huge part of it. You were there. You know about it. It sold out. There were 1,600 women on the wait list. It was the first external female event inside the Carolina Panthers NFL stadium. So that was pretty special. And the second summit is, this April, and it's sold out. And there's a ton of people on the wait list for that. It's at a different venue, magnificent venue on North Tryon Street called the Casey. But it's just sort of figuring it out as you go and realizing the power in the words bet on yourself. I wear them on my wrist, literally wear them on my wrist, bet on one bracelet, yourself on the other. So it's always right there. And I never forget that those words have power. They're fierce. They have teeth. To bet is to take action. We always say, believe in yourself, believe in yourself. Of course we should believe in ourselves. It's a lovely thought. It has a kind of faith undertone, believe in yourself. But to bet is like, go do something, take some action, and put people around you who will take action for you. And to bet on yourself has just been like the most remarkable thing the last year. And I say, again, transparently, figuring it out as I go, flying the plane as I build it, bet on yourself.
And now we're coming up on a year of you betting on yourself. But I just want to ask this question. With you now being able to talk to women, other people, you were already in, that's why we connected, because you weren't up on high on a pedestal. You were actually talking to the people. You're just Molly, right? I'm just Madison. But what are you seeing now that, maybe obstacles and things that you kind of went through in your career? Because it's very hard in the media business. We don't always talk about it. People don't understand it. But like you said, there's windows. We have windows.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a male dominated
Mm-hmm.
business. Still is. I've been doing over
Mm-hmm.
20 years. You've been doing over 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
It still is a male dominated business. So how have you been able to connect with other women? Because I noticed that from the summit, I was like, wait a minute, we're just like you. We're all the same.
We're all the same. We're all the same. I've always felt like I connected with other women, and that's been a mission of mine. Like certainly in this male dominated industry, was able to thrive and succeed, and very grateful for that. Don't take any of it for granted. However, it's always been like a kinship. And when you find another woman who is driven and wants to go do it and is like looking for sort of that bond with others, it has always been something that speaks to me. I think lifting up other women is a really important thing. It can kind of be like, oh, women help women, women help women. And it's like a nice little fun thing to say. When you really find women who help other women, certainly found that with you, it's like, oh yeah, we get it. Because there is enough space for all the women, and we can share all the flowers. And if you're at that summit, and it was a lot of different women in media in there, it didn't have to be competitive. I always say Coke and Pepsi can like each other. And so like we can get on stage and share that and motivate together, because it's inspiring when you see women supporting other women. And why wouldn't we? I mean, it's a lot easier. This might be a bold thing to say, but it's a lot easier for the rest of the world if we are catfighting and pit against each other, because then it's like, oh, well, she doesn't like her and she doesn't like her and this and that, blah, blah, blah. And then if you're bonded and you're moving, it's way more effective and strong. And in some scenarios, threatening to others who, prefer it to be a nice little fight down here. So bonding, moving forward, finding strength in each other, it's always been something that speaks to me. I never want that to go away. It makes total sense in retrospect of the past year that has sort of been what bubbled to the top, even though it wasn't the set plan when I left the 20-year career that I loved, last March. But it makes total sense in retrospect. Being like, oh yes, of course there's women's summits. And of course there's keynote speaking around the country to men and women. A lot of the talks I'm doing around the country, honestly, Madison, are, 75 to 80% men in the room, because it's, executives bringing in their top performers. And in this world still, for a lot of these companies, that ends up being met for different reasons. It's not that women can't be there or aren't there, but it's just the majority of these spaces are men. And they love what I'm saying just as much as women, because it's all, to your point, we're all people. And it's like, yeah, you're right. Okay, you're right. And communication skills, yeah, that's important here. Leading with empathy, that's important here. Still going Strong, that's important here. No is a full sentence. Yep, that's important here. You know, like whatever it is can come in and kind of speak to everybody. I do appreciate you recognize the female-led part of me.
What have you noticed? Because you can. We'll put all her social media stuff there. You can follow Molly as Molly shares her life, and you were balancing it all with the demands of the job, and now with your new path with entrepreneurship. There's more free time, but there's probably more discipline with the schedule. So what have you noticed that you've been able to do? Because I see in your post where you're like, okay, did a speaking engagement and it might be a Tuesday or a Wednesday, where with the job beforehand, time wouldn't allow that because you had to be on the air to talk to everyone in the Charlotte area and beyond. Now you're sitting at volleyball practice, right? Or
I know.
everyone knows your youngest, Mr. COVID baby. Your youngest is like Mr. Dinosaurs, pronouncing words I can't even say. And you're doing
told us the other day.
you do in the car.
He told us the other day he wanted to be a paleontologist, 4 years old. Like, I was like, can I Google that? Yes. It is. I don't think life's balanced ever. It wasn't balanced when I was 2 to midnight in a locked in schedule. It's not balanced now. I think balance is kind of bullcrap word. Who's 50-50, right? Whose balance is even? Who's 50% career and 50% life outside of career? I mean, no one. I think it's a juggle. So I've always juggled. I've always juggled pretty well. We had to by design. Now, instead of having, I had 6 a.m. to 1 p.m. open before when I worked 2 to midnight. Now it's like the whole 24-hour day is open. So it's a different mindset to sort of figure it out. But last night I went to my daughter's soccer game. I was at volleyball tournaments this weekend. Yes, I'm with Hobie in the car and he's, saying, I want to be a paleontologist. Having those opportunities is truly remarkable. I said in the beginning, I didn't leave for the family or 3 young kids because we really were a well-oiled machine and life was Tetris. Schedules fit in and everything was good. So I didn't leave because I needed to fix it. But you don't know what you don't know. And I was missing out on some of those things. I would make half the soccer games. Now I'm going to try and make all, and I don't think I was depriving my children before. I think I was depriving me. Like my children were loved. And if they'd ever felt deprived, I would have reassessed the whole thing. But it's pretty joyful. It's pretty joyful to juggle with more hours to play with.
Well, real quick, talk about the second annual Bet on Yourself Summit. I know it's sold out, but we'll be able to put below here. You can get on Molly's newsletter. That way you can, keep updated on everything that's going on, because I'm going to put out there, it might be summits are now twice a year, just saying. I'm just
we'll figure it out. I don't know where 3.0 is going to be. I'll say that. I don't know if 3.0 will be in 2025 or 2026. I do have a thought to do a 3.0, possibly 4.0, continue on. Bet on yourselves for everybody. It doesn't have to just be Charlotte, Right. Bet on yourself pretty special.
So talk about like what's going to be a little different this year, as opposed to, because you have some repeat people coming back, because every year it's going to be different as you learn more things. So what can be expected this year?
Yeah, I'm so glad you asked that. Good question. It's a different venue, but it's new speakers, same concept. So, what do women want? Start with coffee, end with champagne, leave inspired. The first summit, we had 6.5 hours of soul-filling content, 18 different speakers, included CEOs, Olympians, global executives, lots of media people. You were there. I mean, it was just a phenomenal experience. You can go to betonyourselfsummit.com and watch a 3.5-minute video to get the vibe. It's the same vibe. It's going to go on 2.0, but all new speakers. It's going to be a new venue. And it's really, a same thought process of not one headliner, lots of voices. So you have an army of remarkable female voices on a stage, and the umbrella of what we're talking about is bet on yourself. So some are personal stories, women of inspiration. Last time we had personal branding, values clarification. This time we have some different segments that we haven't released yet, but they will be, based in entrepreneurship or understanding, the seven ingredients for success, and like there's 7 things you take with you right there, you can do and implement in that moment to help you. I mean, people like talk lofty. I like things, action, give me a takeaway. And so I think that's how what women want generally. Like, we love data and facts, but in the same breath, I want to hear an anecdote. I want to hear a story, and show me the success from someone who's done it and how failure can turn into success. Be vulnerable. I want to know about the not good days, because social media shows us the highlight reel of life, and we all see all the fun. Show me the stuff when it's tough, because that's when I really need to bet on myself the most. So these summits so far have been just, I mean, a joy is like that, an undersell, a joy to plan, creative, and just putting all that we know. I mean, things you and I talk about, Madison, if we go on a walk, like the things that we think about in our head as women and the things that bond us together, and putting them on stage in a 6.5-hour day for others to hear and take with them. I mean, I can't think of something more enjoyable to do.
And it didn't feel like 6.5 hours, by the way. That's the thing.
Oh, good.
We could have did an old school sleepover and just shut down the Panthers and everybody roll out sleeping bags. I don't know if the kids do that anymore, but I grew up with that, where you rent out, the venue. It was like, ooh, we're having a sleepover. Like, that's honestly how it felt, and meeting so many amazing women. Our last takeaway, and again, we'll have all the ways you can reach Molly, follow Molly, and hear the amazing things that are happening as we celebrate Women's National History Month. But in my day, we celebrate ourselves every day, all day.
We do not just need one day. We do not just need one day.
No, we do not. What is something you could give, or advice you would give to the girls that are coming up now? Girls like
my daughter.
Yeah, college, because it really is different now. They have extra added pressures and things that aren't, in my opinion, necessarily real when I'm talking social media. So there's so many different things, and then you're seeing people display, we know you can't have it all, but people displaying like, oh, I'm doing this, and then you get behind the scene, because we're older and we know, oh, that's really not what it looks like. So what advice would you give to girls coming up, girls and women?
Right. Well, I think actually a lot of the things that 13 and 14-year-old girls are thinking, my daughter is 13, 14 next month, Parker, are things that women think in their 30s and 40s. So, she and I have conversations about, it's not a world of comparison, even though what we have in our hands every second makes us think it is. And remembering the people around you, the gossip, the venting, that can all be, conversations, I guess you have, but you really want to put the people around you who take action for you. And I always say that to her. I mean, it's a different way of saying, like, find your real friends, but who will be there when you need them, not just because it's like the moment or it's good for them, like who's there when you're low, and who's calling you and reaching out, I call her P, when you haven't talked to them for a while, because they want to make sure that you're good. That starts young, because these kids are so accessible and they truly hold the world in their hands. They're so much smarter than we were at 13, 14. They're so much more aware of things, the things that they have to discuss, the intense, life-changing and impactful things they discuss in middle school is like wild. And so I treat her like an adult in some ways. She's mature, and you have to go each child their own. But if you're 13, 14, 15, 20, 28, 35, we're all kind of talking about the same stuff. They're not as developed mentally as us, but I think you can say things in certain ways that match their age. And so the concept is the same. I say to my good friend, we had a segment on stage at the summit about your personal board of directors. I mean, that's a different way of saying, like, who's going to take action for you? Who is in your corner? And, that's what I don't say to Parker, your personal board of directors, because she'd be like, what are you talking about? But I say, like, who will be there for you? Who's going to do stuff for you? Who checks in on you? And who do you check in on? That's the sort of advice, I guess, mission I give to women of all ages, because kids who are 13 are way wiser than I ever was when I was 13.
100%. And this just came to me because he was there and he was very supportive. And I know it's National Women's History Month, but your husband, having that spouse that, same with mine too, as well, that can go, you know what? I'm not threatened. I don't feel insecure. Let me, he had the t-shirt on, and he was the vendor table. Like, man,
he was selling t-shirts. He was in merch.
Yes.
Wes is my husband's name. He's amazing. And yes, like your husband, they know who they married, and Wes is very supportive. I say he's my rock, and our family works because we are 50-50 and are in all things, good, bad, and different. We're 50-50. I am in awe of single parents who are handling both hats. And so, I don't want that to feel exclusive. Like my husband's really a rock and he's great. And so you don't have, because there's so much like joy I think you can find in other people who want to support and help you. I am just really lucky that it happens to be a spouse who's in the household and we're running it together. And if you do feel alone on an island, there are ways to find people to build that network around you, because we all need it wherever you find it. We all need it. Your club, your crew, your gang, your group, whatever, we need it. And women especially, feeling lonely and isolation is a tough thing. So I feel very, very blessed that I have it from Wes and that he is who he is. He did come to the summit wearing the t-shirt and sold the merch, and he'll be at summit number 2. I was like, take the day off, April 29th, put on your calendar. We need you there.
I love that. Well, Molly, thank you for taking time to talk with us as we celebrate Women's National History Month. Bet on yourself. It is sold out, but we will have available all the social media handles and things where you can follow Molly and you can learn tips and tricks that she gives on her social media about how to bet on yourself, because as women, we're all in this together. So
we are. Thank you.
Big thank you going out to Molly. Also, the female behind the scenes, you don't even see Kiara. So this is a whole,
Hi, Kiara. I still think you should show you. I think you should show you because we're all in it together, but I'll let you make that decision.
Thank you so much.
See you, Madison.
Bye.